Today, we're going to show you the backbone of your entire brush lettering journey, your guidelines and basic strokes. The worksheet that we'll be using is our very first workbook, Learn Brush Lettering in 30 Days. We're giving away a free printable guide from our workbook so you can practice your basic drills along with this video. Click the link in the description to download now. Post your drills on Instagram and use hashtag Artillery Calligraphy Challenge for a chance to get featured. In this video, we'll be using the pentel-footed touch sign pen. It comes in different shades so you can practice with your favorite color. If you're interested in this product, we'll be putting a link in the description, so go check it out. The first thing you need to understand is the anatomy of your letters, which is why we have guidelines. These are a series of imaginary lines that help you create consistent, well-balanced letters. First is your baseline. This is the line where your letter sits on. Take this word for example. Each letter aligns perfectly at the bottom on an imaginary line. Now, this is the X height, which is also called the waistline. This refers to how tall each letter is. Characters that have mid-range height, like your small letters A, C, and N, extend up to the X height. Next is the ascender line. This is where vertical lines or strokes that ascend above the X height sit. Letters like the lowercase b, d, f, h, k, and l all use the ascender line. The descender line is below the baseline and where your ascending letters or strokes sit. Letters like G, J, P, and Q descend below the baseline. Thus, we call that part of the letter descenders. You can adjust the proportions of your ascender to X height to descender depending on your preferences. Here's an example of how your letters would look with equal proportions. If you increase your X height to twice the proportion of your ascender and descender, your mid-range height letters would appear larger. Here, the ascender and descender lines are only 1/3 the proportion of your X height, making mid-range letters even larger. You may have to change the style of your letters depending on the proportions so that it would still look well balanced. Can you see the difference? After understanding your guidelines, you need to understand your basic strokes. Basic strokes, when combined, form your letters in brush lettering. We'll break down 9 basic strokes to help improve your brush lettering. Downstrokes are meant to be thick. Start from the ascender, moving downwards to the baseline. Press down with the hardest pressure. Don't be afraid of pressing down. Brush pens are flexible and their tip will go back to their original shape when lifted. Upstrokes are meant to be thin lines. Lift your pen so that its tip slightly touches the paper. You can also practice with curved upstrokes. Try to aim for consistent lines and pressure. Once you're good with the downstrokes, you'll want to practice your transition from thick to thin lines. Start a little above the baseline with heavy pressure going downwards. As you're nearing the baseline, lift your pen to lessen the pressure going upwards and end on the ascender line. An underturn stroke looks like your letter U. Start at the ascender with heavy pressure moving downwards. As you approach the baseline, begin to lift your pen and go upwards, ending on the ascender. Notice that the second half of the stroke is much thinner. Overturn stroke is the opposite of your underturn stroke. Start with light pressure moving upwards, and as you approach the ascender, make your way down to the baseline with heavy pressure. Compound stroke is a combination of your overturn and underturn stroke. Begin with light pressure moving upwards, and as you approach the ascender, make your way down to the baseline with heavy pressure. Move again with light pressure going upwards to the ascender. To create the oval, start below the ascender and curve upwards to the left with a thin stroke. As you hit the ascender, curve down with full pressure and transition to a thin stroke as you reach the baseline. Curve upwards and connect to where you started. To create the ascending stem loop, start with light pressure just above the waistline. Create a thin stroke that curves counterclockwise towards the ascender. Slowly transition into a straight, thick downstroke and with full pressure at the baseline. To create the descending stem loop, start with full pressure at the waistline. Create a thick downstroke that goes past the baseline. Before you reach the descender, begin to transition into a thin stroke. Curve the stroke and cross the stem before you reach the baseline. Finish with a thin stroke at the waistline. Those are the basic foundations of brush lettering. Combine your knowledge of your guidelines and basic strokes to create consistent, well-balanced letters. You can download our free printable guide to practice your basic drills. Click the link in the description below to download. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notification. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.